Hey there, I'm Trayson, and if you're looking for a solid sit-stand desk, I'm going over my 63-inch Vivo adjustable desk today. When I started shopping around, I was actually blown away at how expensive some quality standing desks could get. Now I did find some cheap options, but they were either too small or didn't look very sturdy or had a manual crank to be adjusted. Now I did consider getting a manual crank desk, but I knew I would get sick of that and want to upgrade again anyway, so I kept looking around. I looked at IKEA and they had some good options, but I never ended up pulling the trigger on those. So in my case, I already had my whole computer set up and I was using it on a table, so I was able to measure the footprint of my setup, so I knew what size of desk I needed to look for to fit my needs. So for me, I needed something between 60 and 70 inches, and it turned out a common desk size was 63 inches in length. So that's what I started narrowing my searches to. And I ended up finding this Vivo desk, so let's check it out. Now first, I will say this is a very solid desk. This thing can hold up to 175 pounds, and I've got a big computer, 27-inch iMac, 34-inch monitor above, and 2 large speakers. So I was really happy to find a desk that had a really good weight capacity. And if you're interested, I did do a separate review on my speakers and my extra monitor, so if you want, you can check that out. And perhaps you don't already have your computer set up like I did, and you're not sure exactly what desk size space you'll need, you're not sure what your setup will end up looking like. The cool thing about this is this desktop is 3 pieces. So if you end up needing a smaller one, it's like a kitchen table. You could take out the middle section and the desk can collapse by 1/3 the size. And then if you ever need to upgrade size, you can throw that middle piece in and you've got the full 63-inch desk. Now you might be wondering how this collapses, and underneath here you've got a rotating rod that spins when the desk is being adjusted, and there's a support bar in the middle. Now each of those can collapse to the right. So if you do need a smaller desk, that's how it works. Another thing to note is you can buy the tabletop and the legs separately. So a guy I know ended up only buying the desk legs, and he got a custom piece of wood cut as his tabletop. So you can do something like that if you want to. I did consider doing that myself, but to get a nice solid piece of wood that looks really nice that size was pretty pricey, so I ended up just sticking with the standard desk setup. But hey, I do have it all now, so if I ever do want to upgrade, I can just swap the top out. The top and the legs were actually shipped separately, so if you do end up ordering one and they arrive at different times, that's normal. I got my top first, and then a day later the legs came, so don't worry if you only get half of it at a time. Now one minor note, and this could just be mine, but because the top is 3 different pieces, where they unite, there's a little gap on mine, a little notch. So I have noticed that, and maybe yours would be better again, but that is something to be aware of with this being 3 separate pieces. It might not fit together 100% correctly. And I've got this large mouse keyboard pad, and that kind of covers up those seams. So that's something you could do. There's plenty of space to throw a mat down, and it gives me full control of my mouse without hitting a bump. Another thing to note is it's actually not a fully square desk. It's got a curve to the front of it, so the edges are out a little farther and it kind of dips in the middle. But I actually like that feature, and I did see that in the product pictures, but that's something to note. It's not flat on the front. Alright, so let's get to the adjustment part of the desk. Now I've got my control set over here on the right, but they do have pre-drilled holes on the left side, so if you'd rather have the control over here, that's fine. You can set it up that way. And you'll notice there's 3 dashes where the measurement should be, and that's just kind of like a lock mode, so if it accidentally gets bumped, it won't start adjusting or anything on you. So to be able to adjust it, you're just going to press the M and hold it for a second, and then your number is going to pop up. And when the number is on the screen, that's when you can start controlling the desk. You've got the obvious up and down arrows to adjust it, and there's a 1, 2, and 3 option. Now those are programmable heights. It will save a height for you. So I have number 1 set to my sitting position, number 2 as my standing position, and I haven't used anything for 3. So the overall adjustments you can do on the desk is starting at 29.5 inches all the way up to 49.5. And I believe the screen shows the measurement in centimeters, but I don't mind what the numbers say. I just care where the desk lands. So to program your 3 measurement options, you're going to manually adjust the desk to where you want it to. I'll raise it up for this example. Then you'll press the M, and it's going to pop up an S on the screen. Then you're going to hit the number, and then that will save it. And the next time when you want to use that measurement, you just hit the number. So again, for me, I hit 1 when I'm sitting, 2 when I'm standing, and now 3 is a little higher than that. And the last button on the screen is a T. Now that's a timer, and it goes in increments of a half an hour. So when you have the numbers on the screen, you'll hit T, and then it will pull up a 0.5 hour, and if you hit it again, it will raise to an hour, hour and a half, and up to 2 hours. Now that's just kind of a reminder if you want to stand or sit after so long. Again, you can do half-hour increments up to 2 hours, and when the timer reaches its end, the screen will actually start beeping. I've only used the timer once myself. I've got an Apple Watch now that just tells me to stand up every so often, so that's been fine for me, but maybe you'll find that feature useful. Now after a few seconds, after you've adjusted the desk, it will go back into lock mode, and then a few seconds later, maybe a minute later, the screen will actually go black, which I like. I know if those lights stayed on, it would catch in my peripheral vision, so I like that they had that turn off, and typically it will just be a black screen until you activate it. Now one thing I did think of luckily, and maybe not everyone would think of this, but if you're gonna cable tie your cords, make sure to raise your desk to your standing position first, and then get your cords all set up, and that will make sure you have enough slack for your desk to raise and lower without snagging your cords. Now this has a very powerful motor, so I doubt your cord would stop it, and it might rip it or break it or damage the desk, I'm not sure. But just make sure that you have enough slack in your cables to let it rise and lower. So I was a little lucky in my case. I've got an outlet right next to the desk leg. So I got 2 power strips, and I heavy duty Velcroed them to the back of the leg. Now this Velcro is about as wide as the power strip itself, and it's stuck on there super securely. I have never seen those wobble, and I'd have a difficult time pulling it off even if I tried. And I made sure my power strip cords could extend the full length when my desk is raised. So you might just have to fiddle with it a little bit depending on your setup, but that's how I did mine. And if you're doing the same setup as me, just make sure if your desk is raised to mount the power strips to the upper part of the leg, so when it lowers you don't want it smashing your power strips. Vivo included a few cable management clips that came with the desk, so that was a nice thing. I'm glad they did that. They're stickies, so I've got them stuck under the bottom myself. I tried to organize the cables as nice as I could, and there are holes in the back of each section that you can run cables through, as well as covers to cover those up. So I'm glad they included a little cable management in there. And overall, this is a super solid desk. I've been very, very happy with it. It was a good price, a lot cheaper than many others. It's super solid, holds a lot of weight. So if you're looking for something under what a lot of these others cost, this would be a great option for you. Maybe you can catch them on sale. This also comes in a white color. I went with black to match my setup a little more. Let me know what you liked about the desk. Comment down below. I read all of them, reply to all of them. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. It's got a curve to it.